All right, welcome to the Faith and Life podcast. Man, we have a special guest, Greg. But let me introduce myself. My name is
Yeah,
Mike
who
Weaver.
are you?
Yeah, if nobody's ever been here before, this is your first time at Faith and Life podcast. This is Mike Weaver. I'm the pastor at St. Luke Lutheran Church, and as always,
Greg
with
Osborne.
is Greg Osborne, who
Yeah.
is what? What do you do
This,
around here?
I'm the student pastor here at St. Luke, but
Yeah.
we're not alone.
Oh no, we're not alone
It's a
today.
summer of guests here at St. Luke at the Faith and Light podcast.
Yep, we've got our special guest Teeny Horning with us, and there should be like
Hello.
a round of applause, but there's
Just I'll add in the round of applause. And whenever Mike messes up, I'll add in a laugh track.
right, exactly. But Tini was with us this past Sunday, and preaching, and she's been had connections with St. Luke for 20, how many years, Tini, has it been?
I think I started coming in 2002, one or two.
Wow. So 23, 24 years. That's amazing. Yeah. So we'll dig into that and then dig into some of the things you're doing as well. But before we get there, we have to ask a question. It's a simple question. This is not rocket science. What's your favorite fruit?
Fruit. Oh, well, I would say the standard that you can always get would be a pink lady apple.
Ooh,
And the seasonal fruits that I really like and wish they had like all around the year is called a persimmon.
persimmon. Wow,
Mhm.
that's unique. I've never had a persimmon. Greg, have you had a persimmon?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I think it is called a persimmon. I actually discovered it because I get a fruit and vegetable box delivered to my house in Germany, and it's winter fruit,
Huh.
and it's delicious. It kind of looks like a mix between an apple and an orange and a tomato. It's like reddish orange. It's delicious. Check it out. It's
Wow.
also called, I think, the Rose of Sharon, maybe also.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
Well, you
biblical.
yeah, I'll check it out. I mean, I'm always game for something new. Look, you said it was like this, like a no-brainer. It was like something like, well, usually what people say is like a pink lady apple. I'm like, I don't think people say pink lady apples. Maybe apple, but that was so
Yeah.
No,
specific.
no, you don't have a brand?
No, I mean,
You don't have a brand of apples in your house in the Weaver household? What kind of
no.
What kind of hypocrisy is this? Every household has a brand. We are a Cosmic Crisp household.
Okay, those are
Really?
also good.
Yes. Oh, I guarantee. Well, no, no. This is just proof you don't do the shopping. Darcy has a brand. I guarantee you.
That's
I bet
true.
she does. Yeah.
Yes, that's
Cosmic
true.
You
Crisp is
you go,
also
you text Darcy after this and say what brand of apple is our household, and she will tell you. I
good.
Yeah.
guarantee you.
You know, my brand of apple is whatever looks good is it's on sale. That's the apple that I
Yeah.
like.
Because I was
But
gonna say every household has a brand of
Yeah.
apple. Like we were Honey Crisp for a while, but they were just pricey, and so we
Yeah.
found the Cosmic Crisp is that same kind of level as Honey Crisp is up there, but a lot better value for your apple. So
all right, it's cool. I'll
It
check it
is.
out.
I agree. It's a very important thing. Households can be divided.
yeah,
Yeah, for
Mike's
sure.
like, give me a Red
Apples.
Delicious. Get out of
Oh
here.
no.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Get out of here.
I don't even like red delicious apples. I don't
No.
like those.
Nobody does.
So, Greg, what's your fruit?
Mike, you don't get to my stature of weight with a favorite fruit. But no, if I had to, if I eat a fruit, it's probably an apple. And it's more often than not, I steal a slice or two when I cut up an apple, for the kids because I cut up apples literally every single day and peeling and cutting apples. So it's one I eat the most, but now it's something that I hate because I cut and peel an apple one or two every day.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that day when their teeth are all grown in and they just take a bite out of an apple like God intended it.
Well, you just get one of those apple slicers. Y'all have one of those where it's like
Yeah, just push
push your
down. No,
thumb.
it's like upper body workout.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
great, but I gotta peel it first because one of my kids decides they don't want the peel of the apple.
Oh,
And so I have to peel it first. And if I'm already taking the knife out to peel it, at that point, just cut it and do.
yeah. Good
So
point. Good
yeah.
point. Well, mine, I have two as well. One would be I love blueberries. Blueberries are incredibly when they're such a good thing, especially in a smoothie. Um, Blueberries are amazing. But I'd have to say I also like dragon fruit.
Ooh, good choice.
And when I was in India last time with a group from St. Luke, we stopped by this fruit stand and they had fresh dragon fruit that had been picked, within a few days since being a tropical area of the world. And oh my gosh, it was incredibly delicious. I mean, I don't know how to describe how good it was. It was just absolutely delicious. I mean, so we can get dragon fruit around here, but it's going to be, weeks after being picked.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't taste as fresh. But man, that was, I
Mm.
mean, so it's my deal. All right, well, that's it. Thanks, guys, for listening to the Faith and Mike
You just
podcast.
found out that Mike doesn't have an Apple choice,
Not.
and every other country than America has better fruit than us, it sounds
That's
like.
right. That's right.
Yes, except for in Thailand, I wasn't allowed to eat the fruit because of like a sensitive stomach and because the water that could seep into the fruit, and I love fruit, so it was very sad. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. Well, hey, as I said before, Tini, you were with us on Sunday, and for those who didn't get a chance to hear Tini preach, go back, find us on YouTube, St. Luke Columbus, our
Yeah.
YouTube channel. You can see and hear Tini's sermon. Go back and take a listen to it. It's based on First Timothy, chapter 1, verses 12 through 17, where Paul talks about confidence in the gospel. So I thought you did a great job with that. And there were just a couple of things I just wanted to point out, which I thought was really helpful. Um, One was just this question about what do you feel confident in,
Mm,
and how easily we go to things that we feel really confident about, but it's not maybe not what God intends for us. And it's kind of a paper tiger in that sense. It's just kind of, it's not a lot of substance sometimes. It can feel that way, but when push comes to shove, it could
Mhm.
fall apart, where the gospel just not going to fall apart. So,
yeah.
but I also wondered about like if you asked the question, if we had time in a Sunday morning to ask the question, what do you feel inadequate about? That's
Mhm.
a whole thing, and where God can meet us in our inadequacies.
Mhm.
That was good.
Mhm.
And that was kind of part of your sermon as well, how God met you in that inadequacy when you're sitting in that restaurant, I think it was, waiting for your
Mhm.
team in Thailand,
Mm,
and God
Mhm.
met you there in that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this message translation, I felt like you brought that up. I felt like I was reading my mail. Um, it was the Eugene Peterson says, "I'm so grateful to Christ Jesus for making me adequate to do this work." And I'm like, wow, I feel
Yeah.
that I could have written that sentence.
Mhm.
Um, And I love how it made me adequate, not made me excellent,
Yeah.
not made
Yeah.
me the best. No, all God needs is adequacy. You
mm,
Yeah.
know, uh, he went out on a limb, and trusted me with this ministry. I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. That's me. And what was that? I'm just looking at this. Here's one you can take to heart and depend on. Jesus Christ came to the world to save sinners. Yeah, I mean, just the whole thing that God went on a limb and
Mhm.
that he's trusting me to do this ministry. And
Yeah.
you point out later in the sermon, like God, what's God's role and what's our role? Like there's a partnership here. God's going to do all this work, and God then equips us to do this
yeah.
other part of the work as well in this partnership. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Thanks.
Yeah. Is there anything about that sermon you wish you would have said and you didn't say?
I think some things that I realized I had written down. Um, Probably happens often to you both as well. Like there are things that I prepare and then I realize, no, I think that's not like for right now. And then I wondered at the end, like a connection to the gospel about, how God would go out to find the lost sheep
Mm,
Hmm.
and kind of realizing the importance of like and he came to seek and save the lost, and do I realize sometimes that I'm lost, or do I think, oh, I'm fine. Like I don't need finding. And I know that resonates with me sometimes that the Lord says, Tini, you think you got it under control, but actually you're a sheep who is really dependent upon the shepherd and, can't do anything without the shepherd. I think that's often something, even in the last couple months, where the Lord has reminded me of how sheep, like when they fall down, they can't get up by themselves. They can't if they don't, someone doesn't cut their wool, and it can harm them physically, and just realizing the helplessness of sheep and how often we are compared to sheep, and reality check that I think that brings. Yeah, I didn't mention it in any of the services, and then afterwards I wondered maybe that's just something for me, or maybe it's something for other people as well.
Or maybe just for the podcast.
Yeah, true.
This is Sermon 2.0 right here. You just get a little bit teaser.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is always interesting what I find, like what either when I'm preaching or I'm sitting there listening to someone preach, of how there's things that like I'm like, I wonder if what someone will gravitate towards one thing when like and someone else will gravitate towards another. And Mike, you mentioned kind of Teeny when you were telling that story about you were doing mission work, and you kind of just felt like inadequate in that room of people who were there. And I kind of like my mind drifted to like how often we are in society, we fall into this like imposter syndrome of like, oh, I don't deserve to be in this room because so and so is more qualified, or A, B, or C. And I was just like, how often we do that with our faith. And so that was kind of one of those. I was just like, now God can use us. Like the Bible is littered with inadequate people that we hold up as biblical heroes.
Yeah.
And like I was just like, oh, that's such a good reminder for me in that morning.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've been a pastor, I mean, coming up with 30 years. It'd be 30 years in 2028.
Wow.
Just drives me, it just blows my mind to think of that. I've been a pastor that long. But my point is to say that is I still feel inadequate. Like I've got a lot of experience. I've met a lot, I mean, I've done a lot of things. And the Lord has, I mean, given me a lot of opportunities for ministry. Preached a whole bunch of sermons, like countless, and been in, all these things. But I think more as being a lead pastor has made me feel inadequate, even after all those years of ministry. So there's things I feel like I'm sometimes still learning and growing. And that's probably a good thing. Any leader needs to be continually learning and growing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's times I've gone over the last 4 or 5 years, like, okay, God, I don't know. You got
Mm-hmm.
to help me out here. And I don't always like to be in that position, but it's the right position to be in. Because with the times when I've not asked that question or just not opened myself up to the Spirit's guidance is when I've gotten where it just kind of been like a wobbly wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, if I just would have paused and just let the Lord do the work
Mm-hmm.
and me being available to partner with that work, it would have been way different outcome. So, uh,
Wow.
and that's been the last 4 or 5 years, but certainly over the last 25, 30 years as well. I mean, I can go back to times where that's happened too, where I've depended more on my experience or my education or whatever that is, as opposed to just depending on God.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was a really great reminder of that for me.
Well,
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, you've been at St. Luke 20. Well, before we get to there, tell us about what you're doing now. What are you're with Crew in Germany, and you're doing a lot of staff development, right? And working a lot with prayer, and some with students as well. So tell us more, Tini, what you're doing.
yeah. So I most recently trained staff in Southeast and South Asia. It's more like a exception. I am based in Germany, and then most of my time leading a ministry called My Friends that equips Christians to share their faith in everyday life with their friends, neighbors, or coworkers. And we offer courses of varying lengths to churches around Germany, uh, in helping them equip first to solidify them in their identity as Christians and make them more confident in their faith, confident in the gospel. Really, it's in our vision statement, and how to go experience God side by side with their neighbors, loving them, praying for them, caring for them, reading the Bible with them, and then kind of mentoring them along the way. And we have developed a small group booklet so that it doesn't have to just be courses in churches, but it can also be in small groups, and also an online course that people can do in groups that is coached or facilitated by one of our staff. That is the predominant role that I have at the moment. And we are being asked to kind of also spread out to help Switzerland do similar things. That's most of what I do. And I've always or had a heart for prayer for a long time. And so I also do different kinds of prayer courses. One online that's a global international thing that's mostly for first staff, but also open for other people. And that led me to do the same course live and in person in Thailand for staff, crew staff. And I will be facilitating and kind of praying through how this transformational prayer, which is a kind of healing prayer, can be spread throughout Europe. So that is, just a
Wow.
little side gig.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
prayer for you, I think it's listed in one of the spiritual gifts, right? In the New
Mhm.
Testament prayer.
Mhm.
I'm curious if you consider that you have that spiritual gift. And the other question is, what's the difference between a person praying and a person that has a spiritual gift of prayer?
Mm. Wow,
Mm.
would love to hear your answers on that as well. Um, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I would assume I have the gift of prayer. I mean, I do love praying, and I think through my experience with crew and through people that I think have seen that in me before I saw it myself, have discovered that I enjoy prayer, especially realizing that it doesn't have to be list prayer or um yeah, there's a lot of times where I'm just silent
Mm.
before the Lord and realizing that that is also prayer. I enjoy just being in the Lord's presence and listening to see what He wants to, yeah, what's on His heart. And then people come to mind, and then I just kind of bring them to Him. It feels really special. So yeah, I would assume I have the gift of prayer. I'm not sure if the difference between the gift of prayer and the ministry of prayer, if the gifting is more like it comes naturally and something that
Mm.
gives you energy.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Like thinking through the other spiritual gifts, like teaching or hospitality. Like if you think about, okay, if those people have those kind of gifts, I would assume it's something that comes more naturally, something that brings you energy instead of takes energy away from you. I don't know.
Yeah,
What do you
I think
guys
that's interesting. I think you're onto something there. Um, and even before I ask the question, I've really not given a lot of thought to it. So I'm thinking along with this too.
think?
Um, but one of the things that I thought about when you were talking about the difference between the ministry of prayer and those with the gift of prayer is that those with the gift of prayer like yourself, and I would say you probably have the spiritual gift of prayer, and that just the way you described it and just enjoying the time with the Lord and being okay with the silence, which I think is also freeing for people who struggle with prayer. Like you don't have to say anything,
Mhm.
you just be present with the Lord and that's enough. So
Yeah.
but a person with the spiritual gift of prayer can teach prayer to
Mm.
those
Mm.
with the gift, right? It's like a professional athlete who's got a skill that they're gifted with, but they can go back and teach young kids or adults.
True. Yeah.
They may
Okay.
not develop the same skill level,
Hmm.
but they'll have more ability than they did if they weren't around that athlete, right? And the same thing with prayer, that your ministry of prayer out of your spiritual gift is really helping people pray because we're all called to pray, just that some people have a special gift for it as well.
Hmm.
And then there are others of us that feel inadequate when it comes to prayer. And like, oh man, I wish I could pray like that. So
Yeah, good thing it's not a competition.
I know, right? That's the thing I think is like what's so beautiful about you have different representations of because very oftentimes like in my role, people find out like, oh, will you do a quick prayer for us for meal? And I'm like, uh yeah, I will. And I go back to the same things of like, bless this food, let it nourish our bodies, and we're eating like McDonald's. It's like, oh gosh, like how is he gonna like I know God can work miracles, but how's he blessing the food here, right? And so but unless I think out and process and take that time, it is one of those things where it's like, it's a constant work for me to try and figure out how I can pray and, to articulate that even better and stuff. So, I do think there is some that like you guys have said, like where it comes naturally and others where we're like, we got to work on that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do some people might think that those with the gift of prayer, they're both, well, it's either or maybe both. They're closer to God than others because they have the gift of prayer, and or God must answer all their prayers if they
Hmm.
have a prayer. What would you say to both of those things?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have heard that. Like, other people have said that to me, and it kind of, in a way, makes me sad because I think we can all be close to God. Like, that's maybe a fruit or something that brings me joy in like teaching, like hearing God's voice, because a lot of times people will come and say, I don't hear God. And then as you talk about the different ways God has spoken in the Bible, through nature, through pictures, through the Bible, through visions, I mean, some of them are, artistic, like actually hearing God's voice loud, or angels, like some of them are wild, but some of them are simple, like or through music. And I love seeing people say, oh, right, like I actually have experienced that. And I think
Mhm.
if we all think about it and are open to it, and like realizing everybody can hear and pray. And so I think maybe that's the teacher in me too, that like wants people to see that, and maybe to not give up and say, okay, well, Tini has the gift of prayer, therefore she can hear, or her prayers are more powerful. I don't know that definitely have heard it, but I don't necessarily want that to be true, because we are all God's children, and it should be that all prayers are powerful. And I believe, Greg, that you could make McDonald's food nutritious to your body if the Lord wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
But I don't know. A good friend of mine, she does say, like, she'll say, well, teeny or prayers are powerful. And so, yeah, they hopefully are powerful, but hopefully just as powerful as someone else. I don't
Well,
know.
the same thing might be said for somebody who has a spiritual gift of teaching, right?
Yeah.
They have a gifted teacher, and people love to listen and be in a classroom with that person because they just have a gift.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean they're always the most effective teachers. Absolutely not. I mean, there's plenty of other teachers around, right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of other people that pray, but they're certainly using their gift to their fullest ability that people are benefiting from. I think maybe the same thing with prayer that, you know, uh, the God people just appreciate when you pray for people, Teeny, because uh, they're just grateful that the gift is being used, and there's a undercurrent of something happening that
Hmm.
maybe folks like Greg and myself that it might not be as powerful, right? In that way, potentially. I don't know. Thinking out loud.
Yeah.
So tell us about your experience with St. Luke over the 23
Mhm.
years or 4 years, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if it was 2001 or 2. Moved to Columbus in 2001. And I lived in Grandview. Like, I knew the Browns, Stephen, Katie Brown, the whole Brown family from camp was there where I was on staff. But because it wasn't necessarily in my neighborhood, I didn't originally go there. But shortly after me moving there, a friend of mine, Jake Lehman, said he was got hired to be the youth pastor, and he just said, you should come help me do youth ministry because I don't know how to deal with teenage girls. And Jake, if you're listening, I'm sorry. This is how I remember the story. And I remember saying I don't really either. So yeah. So I came and helped and yeah, just started by um chaperoning, driving kids from A to B, and then I would, it just kind of progressed to I think you should mentor some of these young men and do different things. And I loved it. I absolutely loved getting to invest spiritually in them because I remember being a teenager and having parents that went to church and are Christians, but just kind of not really feeling comfortable asking them and sharing my doubts. So it was great to be that person for
Mm.
some lovely ladies, especially. Yeah, and that just progressed to more and more youth work. And also, obviously, I went to church and got involved also in, I think, some more Bible studies and started praying regularly with Cheryl DeBroca, who doesn't come to church anymore. But that kind of was the beginnings of me discovering different kinds of prayer. Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
And the mission trip to France, which I mentioned shortly in my sermon, I think in 2004, shortly before I left to go to Germany. So
Wow.
with the
So
youth
you were
group.
only with St. Luke like in person doing ministry here just for a couple of years.
Right.
You didn't
Yes. And
really, yeah,
then
yeah.
and then when I came back, I did 2 years internship with Crew, and then I came back to raise support to go back long term. And in that phase, also I was employed. That was before Greg came.
Mhm.
So like after Jake left and before Greg came, there was a hole with the youth minister, high school ministry. And so because I was raising support, like I did a little bit of office work and also the youth ministry, I would say
Mhm.
a light version,
Yeah.
and kind of filled the hole until Greg came. So for maybe like, I don't even know how long, a half year or so.
I came in May of '07, and I feel like you were still doing office work and stuff at that time, getting ready to go to Germany. I don't know
Okay.
what the
Yeah,
time.
that's true. Yeah. Then I just did office work. So I might have only done the youth ministry work until you came. And then, yeah, we overlapped a little bit.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it's interesting that just that short period,
Hmm.
you were doing work with Jake, in the youth ministry, and you talked about the progression of growth just in that
Hmm.
short amount of time, from
Hmm.
this, then to this, then to this, and then uh, you're receiving mentorship as well in that time, and you know, being poured into, and that's the coolest thing. Like God
Hmm.
can use a short amount of time to really grow us in really great ways
Yeah.
and prepare us for the next thing. That is your work with crew.
Hmm.
That's the
For
thing.
sure. Yeah.
Well, it almost goes back to kind of like a couple episodes we were talking about, though, it's important to still have the Paul Timothy dynamic in your lives of having those people. And it sounds like, in
Absolutely.
your tenure there at St. Luke, like Cheryl DeBroca was that kind of mentorship with you. Like, because I mean, again, talk about someone who has a powerhouse of prayer, like, and what can, like, to get that person that's going to
Mhm.
kind of mentor you that then helps and also then shape to help see where you're going to go and where God's going to use you and lead you with what you're doing now with crew and stuff. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Pastor Steve was obviously also there, questions with youth ministry and other things. Pastor Bob a little bit, mostly Pastor Steve because I already knew him. And I mean, Jake and I also, I think, kind of helped each other. So I think that's absolutely, definitely really important. Paul, Timothy, like always to have someone pouring into you. I mean, I do have now, even so, as soon as like I'm pouring into other people and I need someone kind of keeping me accountable and
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So as we think about 35 years and at St. Luke and then moving into the next 35 years, Greg, you had a great question you asked Pastor Tim, who's with
Yeah.
us. What was that question you
So
shared?
I was gonna jump in and ask it anyway, so I'm glad you
Yeah,
said
go
it.
for it. Yeah.
I just, Tini, with your time at St. Luke and your still connection through coming back every year, just where you've been with St. Luke, what would your prayer and hope be for St. Luke moving forward? Looking back at the 35 years that you've gotten to see St. Luke where it's been, where it's going, and what's your prayer and hope for St. Luke moving forward?
Hmm. I would say, I mean, it's definitely that question I think I would love to pray about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I will be praying because I think that's a really good question. I think what I experience most about St. Luke is a special place that has always been a place where I feel like I have felt at home.
Mm,
Like I remember, like I don't know, even when like I mean now when I come back, like even though there's maybe not as many people that I know or I'm close to, like it feels like I arrive and then you can just kind of exhale. And I feel like it is a place of welcoming
Mm,
for people from outside or hearing stories through the podcast or whatever of how you all have reached out to others and are open to love and serve and share the gospel, which I think St. Francis of the Assisi, or at least he's quoted with the saying that we often share, my friends, like be ready, like to share the gospel at all times and when necessary with words. And I think that for me is how what I experienced in St. Luke, the ways that there's outreach happening and a welcoming spirit, and that there would be kind of that spirit would continue and also to not just welcome, but also to go deeper with
yeah.
the people there. Yeah.
yeah,
I
that's
love
awesome.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
And when you said you needed some time to pray on that question, you send that in your teeny notes to Heather
Oh,
and say, like, we got asked on the podcast. I've thought about it a couple months.
yeah,
Send
I
it. Heather
will
will
for
put it in
sure.
the newsletter. We'll be good.
That's
I
right.
will take time to listen and pray for sure.
So
Hmm.
Yeah,
we would love
very
that.
great. Well, Tini, it's always a pleasure to have you with us when you're back in town, and we'll see you. You'll probably be back in the United States maybe next summer. Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
So we'll look
Yeah.
forward to seeing you then. And maybe you'll join us when we go to Germany next year. Uh,
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And if anybody wants to come early or stay late and make a trip to the south, you're
yeah,
more than welcome.
Freiburg, Germany, the
Hmm.
town of freedom.
Yes.
Yeah,
Free castle. Free castle is the official, like, would be the translation, I guess.
awesome. That's awesome. All right, Tini, blessings to you. Thanks for being with us. And Greg, thanks to you
Yeah.
for again
Yeah.
co-hosting this and everybody, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks.
See ya.